I was once interviewed briefly on City, and I don't know, what is Ben's title? Is he the station manager or, well, anyway, he asked me to give Galamsey 101, i.e. the basics of Galamsey. What does it mean? I've also talked about the cascading impact on local communities, because it is not just the immediate, and again, this has been alluded to. I have section 6, the solution is in Ghana, and I will explain that further, and then I have some takeaway messages. Now you see from the image in front of you, a number of women deeply in a pit. Actually, is it possible to get the house lights at this side off? Controller, he's busy talking. Anyway, we'll continue. Because the fact is that by immersing yourself, can we dim the lights at this side? That's too disco. Okay. Well, in my days, if we went to cinema and you did the lights like that, nobody watched the film. But I know the young boys and girls of today are very disciplined. So why I say contraception by Galamsey is that we know that the chemicals affects the reproductive system. And if you're a woman, and these are all ladies, in this water, contaminated, exposed for 8-10 hours a day, what is going to happen? And I'll go into that in greater detail. Now, there's some principles that I use to underpin the presentation. The first is that people cannot change what they do not see. The second is people will not change what they do not value. The third is science is not truth. It is an approach to seeking truth. Objective truths are apolitical. Again, this has been alluded to. Pollution has no political color. There are always trade-offs. That means there are winners and losers. In the Galamsey narrative, we have a few winners and many, many losers. And existence is a balance between ethics, environment, economics. And the final principle is that no one is safe. If you think you're in Accra and you're safe from what is happening in the, I don't want to mention any particular area, let's say Galamsey areas, you're basically fooling yourself. Because if you don't get it through the food that you're buying from the hinterland, you're taking it in through the air that you're exposed to. So the question is, belling the cat, what does it mean? And the narrative about belling the cat is that you have mice in a house which are being persecuted by a cat. And somebody comes with the idea, some mouse. The mouse probably went to Achimota, that's why I had the idea, that if we hang a bell round the neck of the cat, when the cat is coming, we will hear it and we can run away. So it's now come to be a symbol of corruption. And the last part of that slide says, do you stand up for what is right, or do you let it go and let the practices eat up the entire mice population? And I was talking to one of our organizers, and I said, in fact, belling a cat is not the problem. The problem is that for Galamsey in Ghana, there's more than one cat. And they are not house cats. They are lions, and they do not come alone. they have scavengers of different sizes. So you have the lion that will kill, then the hyenas and the jackals will come in, and even the insects will also come. Then you also have parasites, those who are living off Galamsey. And those parasites, you have both external, like ticks, and you have internal, like protozoans and worms. So it is actually a very difficult issue to deal with, because Galamsey is a whole ecosystem with its own value chain. There are millions of people who are living off this activity that is destroying Ghana. So it is what we call a wicked problem. This is a concept in ecology and development where the problem is so complicated that by trying to fix one part, another part worse. And the only way you can fix a wicked problem is if you have a deep understanding of all the stakeholders and what they do. Research, research, research. We need to understand, and it's not just the normal research that we used to do in the old days. It's research involving the local communities. It is research that involves the people who are benefiting and the people who are losing. I've seen many comments that we should shoot to kill. And I'm saying shoot to kill is not an option. It is not an option. You do not remove part of your human capital by killing them. It doesn't make sense. So, I said this is an issue of values and honor. And I went to this poem, which I'm sure the students here know, The Second Coming by Yeats. It says, turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. I won't go forward, but my take on this, why things have fallen apart in Ghana. We lack order in our pursuit of passion. We have deviated from the core values of those who founded this great nation of ours. We have deviated from the true definition of success, where success is measured in material possessions, things that we cannot take away with us. We have created poor role models for our youth. There's a lack of accountability for our actions, and impunity of the powerful is now a social norm. And I won't go into this because of time, but I want to throw a question out to the group. So I'm going to pose the question. What word do we associate with Ghana now? And the examples: the Swiss punctuality, German technology, Bhutan, happiness, health, spirituality, the French cuisine. So if I ask you now, say Ghana, what word comes to your head straight away? So please give me some words. Wahala, corruption. What else? Hey, young people, what comes to your mind when you say it? Age. Well, that I would say was in the time when I was your age, when we were a welcoming society. But what are the current Ghanaian values? Luckily for me, I came across this piece of research by Osei Tutu in 2023. What you have in the blue is those, values that scored above 100, the top 6. I've taken religion out. And if you look at the ones in bold, money, foreigners, politics, if you look at those values which are in the bottom of the table, obedience, pride for country, truth, generosity, patience, gratitude, we have changed completely as a nation. Galamsey is also political. And there's something you cannot read, but the reference is there that I can leave. But in our constitution, it says that all public lands in Ghana shall be vested in the president on behalf of and in trust for the people of Ghana. For a long time, I had been reading this differently, that all lands, but there's a difference between public land and land. So a forest reserve is public land. It has been set aside for a purpose. My backyard is not public land, it's my private land. But I still cannot do anything I like on that land. So when we say the president has the power, in fact, he doesn't have the power. He can empower, he can create an environment for things to be done. But he cannot go onto somebody's legally assigned concession and instruct what to do there. Galamsey has led to so many protests and petitions. Again, you cannot read this, but the first column of words there are unions and associations. Then you have religious bodies. Then there are media. Then there's some political. Then you have NGOs and MDAs and so forth. I asked somebody from GBC to compile, and when she got to around 40 plus, I said, it's okay. It cannot fit on the slide again. So many petitions, but what have they done? What real difference have they made? So I said, that is looking back. Let us look forward. So I did a comparison of the manifestos of the dominant parties, their 2024 manifestos, and I found that there was actually a lot of similarity in the sort of things that they want to do in terms of preventing the mining of gold in cocoa farms, or creating a gold board or minerals development bank, or strengthen capacity at the district level to manage stopping mining in water bodies and forest reserves. There's a lot of commonality in it. And all of these things are good. But as you know, Ghana is one of the best countries in the world when it comes to writing laws, proclamations, decrees, acts, LIs, and whatever. As for the writing, we can write. But can we act? That is the problem. So that basically gives us the background of where you're coming from. Now, if you go to the scope of the problem, that is the Galamsey 101. Illegal mining actually drives the 3 grand challenges facing the world. That is environmental pollution, climate change, and biodiversity loss. And it affects every single one of the Sustainable Development Goals. This diagram of the Sustainable Development Goals is also known as the wedding cake. And you find that the bottom of that cake, what supports everything, is based on the biosphere. It is the land and the water which supports everything. So Why on earth would we be destroying something that supports us in such an important way? Part of the reason is Galamsey is not a simple thing. It is very complex. Again, I found a nice paper by Mate 2020 et al. And it shows all the different aspects. So you have the chamfan, you have the dry wash, you have washing board, underground, washing plant, so many different aspects of it. We have now something which has come recently. Not in local, they call it quen quen. Quen quen is the metal detector. And you can see that in the slide, the guy, what he's holding, it looks like a spade. These people can come to your oil palm plantation and dig everywhere. The next morning when you come, the trees are just standing like that, because they're using the metal detector to find out where the gold is. The hand above, which you can see is discolored, is the result of a small cut on that person's hand, and he had been handling mercury. So he has topical, is it topical? I'm not a medic, but it's topical. Mercury poisoning of the hand. And it's just a small cut. So you can imagine you're working with stones and gravel. Then you go and work with mercury. Then you end up like this. As for the impact on water, we've all seen it.